What happens when one of the world's most glamorous reality stars steps into a prison and makes a confession so unexpected? It leaves even her own sister doubled over in uncontrollable laughter. This is not just another headline from the Kardashian-Jenner empire. It's a true moment of raw surprise, tension, and unfiltered humanity. Kim Kardashian, the queen of calculated moves and polished appearances, revealed something behind prison walls that shook the room. And there, right beside her, Kendall Jenner, her supermodel sister known for her calm, composed demeanor, found herself laughing in disbelief. This isn't the kind of laughter you hear at a casual family dinner. This was the laughter of shock, of nerves, of witnessing something no one saw coming. Tonight, we peel back the layers of this unforgettable encounter, where a shocking prison confession collided with a sister's uncontrollable reaction. It all began on a day that seemed routine for Kim Kardashian, a woman whose life has been anything but ordinary. Known globally for her high-profile fashion moments and billionaire business moves, Kim has spent the last several years carving a surprising new path as a prison reform advocate. Her visits to correctional facilities have brought hope to inmates and headlines to her name. But on this particular visit, the cameras caught more than reform. They caught a confession, personal, revealing, and explosive. As the prison gates clanged shut behind her, Kim entered with her usual poise, dressed not for glamour but for gravity. The air was heavy, charged with the weight of lives lived in confinement. And yet, beneath that tension, an energy buzzed, a sense that something unpredictable was about to unfold. Kendall Jenner, usually removed from the more dramatic corners of her family's narrative, had tagged along that day. Tall, elegant, and effortlessly cool, Kendall was there partly out of support and partly out of curiosity. She had heard about Kim's passion for justice, but witnessing it firsthand was a different story. The sterile walls of the prison, the echoing footsteps of guards, the quiet stares of inmates, all of it was a world away from the flashing lights of fashion shows and red carpet events. Kendall, used to controlling her expressions on runways, found herself absorbing every sound, every movement. She wasn't prepared for what Kim would say next. As Kim sat across from a group of inmates, her voice steady and measured, she began to speak about her journey, her transformation from reality star to legal crusader. But then the conversation shifted. In a moment that silenced the room, Kim leaned forward and confessed something deeply personal. Her words were deliberate, heavy, and laced with a truth she had never shared publicly. The inmates listened, the guards froze, and Kendall's eyes widened. This wasn't about fashion or fame. This was about vulnerability. Kim spoke of a fear that had haunted her for years, a fear of what life might have been if one wrong decision had sent her down a darker path. She confessed that there were moments in her past, reckless nights, impulsive choices, where she could have easily ended up on the other side of those bars. The confession was startling not just because of what she said, but because of who was saying it. Kim Kardashian, a woman who built an empire on perfection, was admitting her own fragility. She described the weight of fame, the scrutiny of the public eye, and the private battles she fought long before she became an advocate for others. The inmates nodded, some in understanding, others in disbelief. It was a rare bridge between two worlds, the incarcerated and the impossibly famous. And then, just as the tension reached its peak, Kendall Jenner, unable to contain herself, burst into laughter. It wasn't mocking. It wasn't cruel. It was the kind of laughter that escapes when reality bends in ways the mind can barely process. Kendall, overwhelmed by the sheer unexpectedness of her sister's words, tried to stifle it, covering her mouth with a perfectly manicured hand. But it was too late. The sound of her laughter echoed off the concrete walls, startling everyone in the room. The inmates exchanged curious glances. Kim paused mid-sentence, her eyes flicking toward her sister with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. Why was Kendall laughing? In that moment, it wasn't about disrespect, it was about the absurdity of the situation. Here was Kim Kardashian, a global icon of luxury and control, admitting she once feared the very fate of the people sitting before her. For Kendall, the contrast was overwhelming. The sister she had always known as unshakable was suddenly exposing a hidden vulnerability. The laughter wasn't mockery. It was disbelief wrapped in nervous energy, a release of tension in a room thick with unspoken truths. Kim, ever the professional, allowed a small smile to break her otherwise serious expression. She understood her sister's reaction because, in truth, the confession was shocking even to her. "I know," Kim said softly, her voice carrying both gravity and humor. "It sounds crazy, doesn't it?" The inmates chuckled, some nodding in agreement. The ice, heavy and unyielding moments before, began to crack. What started as a serious discussion of prison reform had shifted into something unexpectedly human, a shared recognition that life can pivot on the smallest decisions. As the visit continued, Kendall's laughter became a quiet reminder of the surreal reality of the Kardashian-Jenner family. No matter how carefully curated their lives might appear, they are not immune to fear, to mistakes, to the unpredictable turns of fate. Kim's shocking prison confession laid bare a truth that transcended fame. It was a reminder that everyone, celebrity or inmate, is one decision away from a different life. The inmates, once wary of the cameras, began to open up. They shared their own stories of close calls and life-altering moments, inspired by Kim's willingness to reveal her own. Outside the prison walls, the story quickly spread. Headlines screamed about Kim Kardashian's shocking confession, while social media lit up with speculation. What exactly did she mean? Was there more to her past than the public knew? And why was Kendall Jenner laughing during such a serious moment? The internet buzzed with theories, memes, and debate. Some criticized Kendall for what they saw as insensitivity, while others defended her, pointing out the complex emotions that often accompany moments of revelation. Behind the scenes, Kim and Kendall reflected on what had happened. For Kim, the prison visit was another step in her ongoing mission to reform the justice system and humanize those society often forgets. For Kendall, it was a crash course in the unpredictable reality of her sister's world. The laughter that erupted in that sterile room wasn't a sign of disrespect. It was a human response to an extraordinary confession, a reminder that even in the most serious settings, emotion doesn't always follow the rules. Days later, during a family gathering, the sisters revisited the moment. "I couldn't help it," Kendall admitted, her eyes still sparkling at the memory. "It was just so unexpected." Kim laughed too, acknowledging the strangeness of it all. In the end, the prison confession wasn't just about Kim's past fears or her present mission. It was about connection, between sisters, between strangers, between worlds that rarely collide. It was proof that even in the most controlled narratives, real life has a way of breaking through. And so the image lingers. Kim Kardashian, seated in a stark prison room, her voice steady as she revealed a truth few expected, and Kendall Jenner, unable to contain a laugh that captured the shock of the moment. It's a scene that will live on not just as a headline, but as a testament to the unpredictable power of honesty. In that room, beneath the harsh lights and watchful eyes, fame and freedom blurred. And for a fleeting, unforgettable moment, the walls between them all seemed to disappear.